And brothers and sisters, I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, this beautiful country, and how we're going to fix both of these things together. Guys, we are going to do something in this episode that you guys need to see and send out. We're going to dive through the hottest topics right now. We're going to start off with the reason behind the whole Epstein outrage. We're also going to touch on what the left is completely misreading because they couldn't hit water if they were standing in a boat. Then we're going to talk about Gavin Newsom and his big arrival into South Carolina for your gun rights through president. We're going to touch on the gun rights, gun control side, and then I want to show you some crazy lefties per usual. I've got it all for you. It's all going to be linked in the description box below. As you guys get in here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, and give me the audio video cue being okay over there in the chat. And once we are in, we will absolutely get going, and make sure you guys are sending this out because it looks like the notifications are going out real slow. It looks like they're coming in right now. Excellent. And if you guys are watching through our pod or listening through our podcast, Positively American, make sure you download this, you share this out, and thank you guys for all the different ways you are consuming our content because this is a very important time to push forward with our freedoms. All right. As we get in here, guys, make sure you give me a 5x5 audio video in the chat over there, and we will dive right into the content. So, if you guys are new here or you have not done so yet, please jump over my X profile. Follow me at Braden LOA. This distribution is actually bigger than our YouTube channel. It's crazy how fast it's growing because the distribution system is completely different. So check it out. That is the housekeeping. Let's dive right into this. All right, guys. As we get in here, I want to hit on something really important. This whole Epstein thing. Now, the left, and thank you, Steve, for the 5x5. Make sure audio video is good. Excellent. The left thinks they have us pinned in a corner. They think all of a sudden, magically, we no longer believe in the beliefs that we've held for so long. We are no longer principled conservatives. We no longer care about the country. We don't even care about that pesky Bill of Rights because we're big mad. I swear to you, the left, like I said, could not hit water if they were in a boat. The reason this is so key and important to understand is not the image you're seeing on the screen of what they think is happening. This is something even bigger than this. The whole outrage that's going on right now honestly doesn't really have anything to do with Epstein himself, doesn't have anything to do with the files that were or weren't there. The bottom line, and I touched on it earlier, comes down to trust, and it comes down to a principle position. So when you have the trust that you feel something's wrong in your gut, and then you have a principled position, what's happening right now on the right is not, oh my God, we are no longer conservative. We don't care about our gun rights. We don't care about our freedom of speech. We don't care about any of the Bill of Rights. We are so pissed. No. Here's the thing. If we do not take a principled stand on something that we know doesn't feel right, we have no credibility to beat the crap out of these same people who are putting these kind of posted things up in the future. This has nothing to do with any of the topic. It's all about the feeling and the trust. That's why this is so key and so important. What you're seeing right now is a purification and standing on principles. You are not seeing a abandoning Trump or doing any of these different things. It is holding to account our leadership. That's what you're seeing. It's really important because the left really thinks they've got us against the wall. And this is why we're building this bridge from the gun world to the politics, because they think they have us on the wall in the gun world all the frickin' time. Anyway, here's another example, and then we'll get into a few more things and a few more media personalities. I think they're really good to tie this together. So you can feel that MAGA is completely broken. Guys in the chat, do you feel like completely broken? Do you feel dismayed? Are you underwater emotionally? No, you don't. Not at all. They literally could not hit water if they were standing on a boat. I sense victory ahead in the 2026 midterms. I wouldn't necessarily count chickens before you hatch there, Cupcake. And the reason why is because we're demanding this situation be fixed because we have principles on the topic, not just going along because dear leader says so. And I'm not talking to Trump. I'm talking about in general, the theoretical dear leader, right? This is what they don't understand. Because do you remember way back in yesteryear when you had all that Biden stuff where, the guy was literally like, he was like short-circuiting? Remember that? Yeah, you didn't hear a peep out of all those lefties because it was all about party over country. It was all about party over principles. That's the whole point. You have an inverse here, and they're thinking that, oh my God, they've got us against the wall. No, morons. We're literally standing for what we believe in, and we will be heard. Take notes. All right, let's get into this. We've got to talk about something that Glenn Beck said at the very beginning. Again, this is really important stuff that we're covering on this, guys. So make sure you are sending this out, because I'm hearing there is no notifications going out whatsoever. And yes, trust needs to be restored. Exactly right. And we are demanding it. Okay. I'm going to show you this one little thing from Glenn Beck really quickly, and listen to this, because this first part is key.
This week, the Epstein thing has come up again. And I think this is a symptom. It's not about Epstein. It's about justice. It's about, are we really looking into all of these things? And is anyone ever going to go to jail?
It's about justice. That's the whole point. That's why in the 2A space, I feel comfortable going into this topic, because number one, it's contentious, and number two, you're going to be pretty decided either way you're going to go on this. But in the 2A space, we're principled. We go against gun controllers all the time. We go into the Supreme Court. We go against district courts. We know where our principles stand. That's why this is so important. It's about justice. It's about accountability. It's about someone kind of peeing on your head and telling you it's raining. That's the whole point. But let's keep going. I got some more stuff, and we will get to the Gavin in about 2 tabs, so just bear with me. All right. This right here is a mix-up that was put together that I want to show you all the different influencers on the right, whether it's MAGA, establishment, or conservative, and they're all hitting on the same thing. Again, this is speaking to something broader than just we want blood, we don't like Trump. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever, at all. And I see the super chat. I will 100% get to those in 1 second here, guys. Give me a second. Let's get to this clip. I want to show you what they're talking about.
Nobody told us prior to this that the Epstein files would be anywhere even on the agenda for that day. And it was really sprung as a surprise to all of us. We get handed these binders, and then before we even have a chance to look into them, we're hauled out actually in front of the cameras that were all there. We don't have the accountability that was spoken of. We don't have the releases that were spoken of. And it's indefensible. It's indefensible that the answers aren't there when so much was promised.
As someone who voted for the president, campaigned for the president a lot, I'm not attacking the president, but I think even people who are fully on board with, the bulk of the MAGA agenda are like, this is too much, actually.
Yes.
I'm saying that with love, and I hope that they're listening, because I think this threatens to blow up the whole thing. By the way, when Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting abused, I followed this case closely, and I know a lot of the people involved, as I've told you. Mm-hmm. I had no idea. I didn't know that.
That right there is the problem. So you just heard the exact point that I've been hitting forward. This is not coming from a perspective of we hate everything about ourselves and we don't believe the same beliefs we've always held. No, it's very obvious something was wrong. And the one person that is getting all the flack on this is Pam Bondi. And in the 2A space, I know for a fact she's not that loved, because I'm on the front lines of this. Trust me, I hear you guys, I read your comments. So what you're looking at right here is the conservative to the MAGA side going, something's not right. You're talking about children. You said you had all of these things. Now you say you don't have all of these things. It's a very simple equation. But again, it's about purifying on our principles. It's not about going along with a party line like Biden is perfectly fine and his mental acuity is on point. So the left has this little idea that, oh, they've got us now. No, they don't. They don't at all. But anyway, let's keep going. We're still working some stuff out, but watch this.
Really? Thousands of children got raped?
Yeah.
Who raped them? Where are the rapists? Like, why aren't they in jail? What? This is the Department of Justice.
Yes.
That is so crazy. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff.
Can't the Department of Justice move to unseal things that were put under seal? Isn't that technically the way that this could potentially be brought to the public? Because I think we need mass disclosure. I think we need more information. At least for my under 30 crowd, I know my demo. They are volcanic over this whole thing. And by the way, the over 60 crowd, they're like, Epstein, whatever, not a big deal. No, but under 30, can you explain that to our audience too, Mike? The hyper online under 30 crowd, this is a major, major issue.
All right, so before I get to Ben to wrap this up, I want to say one little correction there. My demos are not under 30. My key demos on this channel and have been forever are right around 40 to 65 plus. We're in the older male demographic. That's kind of where we live. We obviously have exposure to the younger demographics, but that's pretty much it. You guys are pretty pissed about this one too. I mean, just fairly. And this is across the spectrum. This is not just 30 under. Now, Charlie's talking about his own audience, his own key demos, and all those things. Fine. I can tell you guys from the comments, the X interactions, from 40 to around 35 to about 70, you guys are all pissed too. I'm just saying, it's like 99% to 1% pissed. So this is a really important piece to this. We are demanding accountability on something because that's the one thing that's been missing in our country. And again, I'm going to get to Gavin in a second, speaking of the inverse of accountability. But now we're going to go to Ben, because this one is where I went a little bit off the reservation, in my opinion. Watch this.
If you're willing to throw that over and claim they're lying, then I'd like to see you present your evidence that they are in fact lying. Because I know Dan. I don't think that Dan Bongino is lying to me. I know Kash Patel a little bit. I don't think Kash Patel is lying to me. I don't think these people are lying to me. Which means that if somebody else continues to claim that they're lying, they ought to provide their evidence at this point.
Pam Bondi needs to be fired. Who is rolling this out? The little rascals?
All right. We're going to get to Gavin in a second because that was a really good way to wrap that up. Here's the thing. When you're looking at what's happening, it's all falling at the head of the DOJ. That's where this will end up. It's not going to end up at Trump because he didn't directly roll this out and wasn't on camera saying all of these things. It's not going to get Dan Bongino. It's not going to get Kash Patel. It is landing right at Pam Bondi, at the DOJ and the AG. That's where this is going to end up. Mark my words. You can write it down. And please, as you guys are here, make sure you send this one out because the YouTube notifications are not doing their job. But I got to get to a super chat real quick. Trino Galaxy, $5. The left continues to show how they don't understand the right. No, they do not understand the right at all. They look at it through the exact same prism that they look at their lives, and that is not the way you do this. The only reason I typically cover the Democrat stuff and the clips and all the different pieces they bring forward is because I try to spend a lot of time and a lot of energy understanding their perspective, and I actually grew up in a very corporate environment. Well, not grew up, but I worked my first 10, 15 years in a very corporate environment, one of the most liberal companies in the world, so I speak liberal. But that's what you're dealing with right now. But let's get to this part, because I want to show you one of the worst things that Hakeem Jeffries could have said on camera today. This is the second segment. We're going to dive right into it. So Hakeem Jeffries, he is the minority leader of the House. He's the leader of the Democrats. You saw him do an 8-hour filibuster on the House with one big beautiful bill. You've seen him do all the different grandstandings, all these different pieces. However, he doesn't have the gravitas that others have had before him. And he makes mistakes like what I'm about to show you, because he's about to walk down the reasoning why he's going to take the House back in 2026 is because they count the votes. They set how the votes are going to be counted, how the voting processes are laid out. He literally says it right now. So let's get into this. Make sure you send this one out, guys. I know the notifications are not here because they're just not. All right, let's get it.
The good news is, to the extent that there's a silver lining in our electoral system, is that we don't have a national election system. It's state by state by state. And in many of the states,
hold on, got to refresh that because Hakeem has to be heard.
there's a silver lining in our electoral system, is that we don't have a national election system. It's state by state by state. And in many of the states where there will be competitive gubernatorial elections, and certainly in the overwhelming majority of the states where the House will be decided, there are Democratic governors, Democratic attorney generals, and Democratic secretaries of state. I'd be far more concerned, honestly, Ari, if we were looking at a situation where the fate of the House would be determined in states where Republicans are in charge. Because
so you're saying... All right, before he goes, because there's a second half to this, do you understand what he just said? Again, we're talking about all the things that matter, like our gun rights, our freedom of speech, the representation that we have, the House, the Senate, all those things. What he's talking about, do you understand what he just said? I would be much more concerned, Ari, if the Republicans were setting the laws for voting. But since we have all the swing states and all the big blue states, and we have them as Democrat AGs and Democrat secretaries of state and Democrat governors and Democrat legislatures, what does that sound like? That sounds like something a little nefarious, doesn't it? This is the leader of the Democrats nationally. just said it's perfectly fine, Ari, because we control how the votes are processed, how the voting day works. We figure out who counts them. We have control of the Secretary of the State. We have we have the governor. We have the legislatures. Don't worry, Ari. 2026 is in the bag. What? Good Lord. All right, let's continue. And I see the super chats. I will get to those in 1 second because this is really important. The chats we're having.
To be clear, because it's a patchwork, you're saying you've studied this, and if there are Republicans trying to play games, they're not actually overseeing the races that you think would control the House outcome?
That's absolutely correct. There are seats in New York, seats in New Jersey, seats in Michigan, seats in California, seats in Wisconsin, seats in Pennsylvania, seats in Arizona, by way of example, that are going to determine in large measure who controls the House in the aftermath of the midterm election. Every single one of those states have Democratic governors, their Democratic attorney generals, Democratic secretaries of state. And so that's kind of the landscape that we find ourselves in. And I've got trust in those leaders to make sure that there are actual free and fair elections.
I have trust in those leaders to make sure there's actual free and fair elections. So that means you don't have trust in the Republicans that there will be free and fair elections. Guys, this is who's leading the Democrat Party in the House. Okay? This is very important. All right. Let's go over to Gavin Newsom because I want to show you some. Oh, hold on a second. Not Gavin Newsom first. I got to show you some history. You remember that guy, Joe Biden? Yeah, I do too. Let's see what he said a couple years ago, and then I'll show you Gavin Newsom, who's taken a playbook right out of Biden. Watch this.
Look at what they value and look at their budget.
Man, X is killing me right now. I got to reload that too. Hold on a second. I got y'all.
Their budget and what they're proposing. Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Well, I'm sure all of you guys remember that one because you were around when he did it. However, I think it's fascinating that when we look at Biden a couple years ago, then we look at Gavin Newsom's new little campaign stump speech he just did today when he's gone to South Carolina because he's going to run for president. He's going to the Democratic primary states. You are watching it happen in real time. And you want to talk about a psychotic gun controller? Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner, Johnny. All right. Tell me if you guys find anything common around what Gavin's about to say.
What we're experiencing is America in reverse. They're trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world on voting rights. You know it well. Civil rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, and not just, access to abortion, but also access to simple reproductive care, contraceptions. What we're experiencing is America in reverse.
Does that sound at all familiar to you guys? To me, this is the most insulting thing in the entire planet. So we're just going to scare people into voting because we're going to do what Biden just said, or we're going to do what Gavin Newsom just said. We're just going back to a pre-1960s America. Remember when Biden was going down the road of Jim Eagle and Jim Crow 2.0 and all these different things? Guys, I don't know how to say it any clearer. It's clearly insulting. It's disgusting. It's playing on people's emotional fears to get their votes, pandering to them and lying to them about things that are not even on the freaking table of possibility. But don't worry, he's here to tell you what's going to happen from California. Guys, this guy's going to run for president. All right, let's go to one more thing on Gavin, then I'll get to some gun controllers in here and how they're doing some very odd things I want to show you. All right, so this one is about body language. This is really interesting because I picked it up in the first clip I showed you, and I'm going to describe it for the podcast audience. Gavin is effectively giving speeches and communicating the exact same way that Barack Obama did. Okay, listen to this.
The expansion of rights. But what we've seen in the last number of months, frankly, the last couple of years, we've seen this rights regression. These are folks that quite literally, with respect, want to turn back the clock to a pre-1960s world. And you see it across the spectrum. You understand it better than anyone here in South Carolina on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on issues, obviously, of women's rights. No state more impacted on those issues than this state. And so, again, our state of mind has.
All right, the really important piece. Yes, it's the same rhetoric. Yes, he's going to run for president. Yes, he's going to fearmonger everybody who is even potentially able to be fearmongered to voting for him. That's the whole point here. But what I want to draw your attention to is exactly the clip here in the description. He's using the body language and the delivery cadence of Barack Obama. He's doing everything. He's doing the thumbs. He's reaching out. He's doing the shoulder thing. He's doing the swaying. He's pointing out in the distance. This man has changed who he is in order to represent and present somebody else in their communication style because he thinks it resonates while he tells people that they're going to go pre-1960s on their civil rights. That is what you are watching if you're in the podcast audience. But for you guys in the YouTube live audience, you can see it right there on your screen. It's clear as day. Let me know in the chat if you guys see it. This is playing on people's emotional fears and playing on their state of emotional being, and it's twisted and it's wrong. Let's continue.
To be more focused, and we have to have a sense of intentionality and urgency, and I'll close on this. And that includes everyone. Those we agree with, those we disagree with, but also parts of our state, your state, and country, with all due respect, that my party, Democrats, our party, frankly, have neglected. Yes. That even if we haven't turned our back intentionally, we've kind of forgotten. I mean, I'm proud. I love that I'm here. This is amazing. I think it's so great. I love it. And this is where we need to be spending time. Democrats need to be spending time. You matter, and our party cares. We need to care more, though. And we need to work harder, and we need to work smarter.
There's only so much I can handle that guy. I swear to y'all, having this guy on camera and having to cover him from late 2025 into 2028 is going to be a chore. But we're going to do it together. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on if you guys are just now getting the notification because it did not go out. And if you're on the podcast, make sure you like this, you download it, and you share it out, and follow me at Braden LOA. All right, if you're just now tuning in, what we're talking about is almost said it, Gavin Newsom channeling Barack Obama, speaking to a crowd and basically fear-mongering them into voting for him. This is how they take your rights, people. We're building the bridge from the gun control, gun rights argument into the general politic. If you are not familiar with the gun world, we have been here for 50, 60, 70 years. We know how they try to take the rights from you. Heed our warnings. We're experts in this. What you're watching is a slick-haired, silver-tongued devil talking about all the different ways of where they matter and they're more important and channeling someone who he is not because it's to a different crowd. It's called code switching. That's why you're seeing this happen. But I would be remiss if I did not take it back to show you some other things in the gun space because this is how it all ties together. You are seeing it happen right now in real time. If you are in the gun world, you are a two-way veteran of this space. You guys are literally the front lines with the most valuable experience in the political spectrum because they're doing the exact same thing to everybody else they've done to us for 50 years. Watch this, Shannon Watts. This is the leader of Moms Demand Action, or the founder, rather. I will get to the super chats in 1 second. I saw 2 more come through. Shannon Watts says, "People of Earth, we're going to have to let Democrats downplay or distance themselves from former presidents and policies that are unpopular while they're running for office. Otherwise, we're not going to win." And we're going to go back to something we covered in the very front. And Republicans and MAGA and conservatives are destroying themselves. Shannon Watts, leader of a gun control organization, one of the main 5 in the United States, well, really 4, because March for Our Lives got rid of 13 or 16 staffers because they suck. But Shannon Watts is openly saying, guys, you're going to need to let them not be purity tested so we can win these elections. because they're going too far to the left. In fact, she even got backlash for this. Look at this, and then I'll get Gabby Giffords, something that we touched on earlier this week. What people like Shannon Watts mean by we is literally her and her coworkers, not Democrats or people on the left of the political spectrum as a whole. Her and her hacks like her make a living off this. Don't let her conflate it. She bears plenty of responsibility for Trump 2.0. They don't like that. And here's the bottom line, guys. What you are looking at on the 2A space, just like you were looking at the Gavin Newsom clips I just showed you and the Joe Biden clips I just showed you, all of these organizations and all of these entities are all rebranding themselves, and they are code switching to make themselves more appealing to people that they think they can get their vote from. Okay? It's an age-old political thing, but to watch it in real time is truly fascinating. Watch what Gabby Giffords said. This is a perfect example, and I covered this in a live about 4 or 5 days ago. I touched on it. Gabby Giffords talking about the Americans deserving freedom from gun violence, conflating freedom and the pursuit of happiness with safety, and then saying the government's responsibility is safety, and that's what has to happen. And if you don't get rid of the guns, we can't be safe, therefore we can't be happy. And that cyclical logic is what they're going to use to try to take your gun rights. Guys, it's shifting right in front of your eyes. All right? Watch. To bolster the people's safety and happiness, I'm just going to hit a few of these points. But for the 249 years later, our government is failing to keep us safe. Again, this is all about taking your rights away so you can be safe. Okay? I'm going to hit a few things real quick on this. Of course, not all gun violence is political. Some 46,000 people are shot and killed in America every year, completely ignoring the idea that about 65 to 63% of those are self-inflicted. But you can't say that because then it undermines your point, which leaves right around 13,000 to 15,000 homicides in the entire United States in a population of around 340 million people. But again, don't let facts get in the way of your retwisting of an emotional response, right? It doesn't matter about the facts. What they want to do is they want to go after your emotion and say all these flowery language op-eds, which we're going to counter, by the way, because I'm going to start writing for AmmoLand pretty soon. Guys, this is what they're doing to you. That's why these things are so important, and we have to cover all of them and how they are interspliced, because literally they do the same tricks against all of us, from the gun world to the pro-life to the conservative to the Mac to whatever. It's the same tricks, it's just dressed up differently. They have a few core moves and they just put a little bit of dressing on it. All right, let's keep on going. Again, I'm just going to hit a few points here. For victims, survivor, and the millions of Americans who live in fear, our government is not upholding its end of the deal. It is failing to protect our safety and our happiness. See how this goes? Up here at the top, you introduce safety into the pursuit of happiness and the Declaration of Independence, and then all of a sudden later on in the article, now it's, well, they're obviously not doing their job. You're going to introduce safety, and then you're going to say the government's not doing the safety, and the only way to do the safety is to take the guns away from the people. So therefore, the government can't provide one of our core rights and happiness and safety if they don't take our guns away. See how that works? It's a flow chart. Guys, if I'm over the target, let me hear some planes over there or see some planes over there in the chat. Let's get back to this. The status quo is deadly and unacceptable, and elected officials of both parties have a duty to say so. If our nation continues down the path unchecked, we risk losing the very democracy we celebrate every 4th of July, or July 4th. Of course, we're a constitutional republic. I can almost hear you guys screaming that already. But you have to understand what these people are doing. When you go from the very entrance of this live stream, where they were saying that MAGA is eating ourselves over the Epstein thing, to Gavin Newsom code switching and scaring people into voting for him, to Shannon Watts saying we need to start lying to people effectively. And then you've got Gabby Giffords completely rewriting and inserting things into the Declaration of Independence as now government's role is safety. It's not safety. That's the whole point. What I'm trying to deliver in this podcast, in all of our live forms, our long forms, our shorts, our written articles, everything that we're doing across the board, it's a full court press to show these people, show us what these people are doing to us in the same different spaces. They are going after us in the gun world. They're going after the pro-life world. They're going after the immigration world. They're going after all the individual segments with the exact same tactics. And the second that we unlock that and we see it and call it for what it is, the sooner we defeat it more quickly. We're already doing a pretty good job, but it'll be quicker. All right. So now got one more thing for you. I want to show you the crazy, because there's two things of crazy here. I'm going to do it in this order. I'll get to the super chats here in 1 second as we wrap out. but I want to show you what someone comfortably says on the left when it comes to...
I'm just going to say...
Stop it. When it comes to what they want to do to the sitting president, to actual SCOTUS members, to Congress. This is who feels comfortable putting this out on the internet, okay? And if you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, because those pesky algorithm notifications are dying right now. But let's continue. Here's what he says.
I'm just going to say what everybody's thinking. This isn't going to stop until we unalive all these motherfuckers. That's it. They do it to us. This is not going to stop until we unalive all these motherfuckers. From Clarence Thomas to Donald Trump to everybody in Congress who's voting for this bill. All of them. All of them.
I would just like to say, enjoy your visit from the FBI. This is representative of where they've gotten, and that was over a legislative bill. Okay, now the other thing that I want to show you, and this is the last bit of the lefties losing it, and then I'm gonna read the super chats you guys have stacked up over there, and thank you for that, by the way. This guy, remember how I did a live the other day where I showed you that the individuals will sit in their camera in their cars and with their cameras turned on, and they'll do little 8-second clips or 5-second clips, and they'll stitch together like 10 of them, and then they'll say, "Oh my God, this was an amazing video." You'll notice that we've been going for 31 minutes. I mean, just saying. This is what they do. They will work on very rehearsed 8-second clips. They will inject as much emotion as they possibly can. They will get you as riled up as they can. They'll turn the camera off, breathe, and then do the same thing over again, and then stitch them together. For example, the guy I'm about to show you, he literally has an entire channel. All he does is scream at the top of his lungs, and so volume warning on this one, and he represents the left. This is why we're going to win, because this right here does not resonate like they think it resonates. All right, I've given you the warning on the volume. Let's get into the crazy. We've got a minute to really absorb this. Let me hear you in the comments on this one.
They're building f***ing cages for migrants in the middle of the f***ing North Everglades for innocent f***ing people. We don't even know if they'll have air conditioning in sweltering deadly heat. This isn't a facility. It's f***ing death trap. He's bragging about alligator Alcatraz. He f***ing said migrants would be eaten by alligators if they tried to escape. Is that a joke to you? What the actual f*** are we becoming? They're human beings. Families, mothers, fathers, children. Throwing them in the swamps. F***ing die. And that's not all.
Okay, even the transitions have to be full volume, full emotion, full screaming. Again, I would like to draw your attention to the first post that we opened with. Yeah, we're really breaking. No, we're dealing with some stuff. We got this. But these guys are sitting here telling us that we're breaking? Something tells me that's not correct. Again, I can't wait to see your comments on this one. Let's keep going. About 40 more seconds of that.
Is now going for the deportation of U.S. citizens. He's saying there's a lot of people born in this country. You should get the hell out of here. Constitution doesn't let you deport citizens to third world prisons. 13 piece of shit. I for July 17th. Nationwide protest. We show the f*** up. Get loud. We fight back because every human being, every single one, deserves human f***ing rights.
I hadn't watched the whole thing all the way through. That actually caught me. That was my natural reaction, and it's really funny that we both had the same idea. Guys, this is what we're facing right there, and I'm gonna tell you flat out, straightforward. The guy that you just saw, let me back him up a little bit. I'm not gonna play the audio because that's just beyond obnoxious. The guy that you just saw, this dude, his entire channel is that. The other dude who I showed you 2 or 3 days ago, where he thought he was the most intelligent little gotcha guy, his whole channel is that. This is literally something I can play for you every single live just to show you how lunatic the left is. Because this is their whole thing. This is it right here. But don't worry, guys. We've got that guy. Then we have this guy telling to unalive SCOTUS, members of Congress, and the president. Yeah, I agree. Let's go back to this first post. we are completely broken. Whether you consider yourself MAGA, conservative, Republican, 2A rights, whatever you consider yourself, you're broken. But don't worry, they're in a solid place. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get over here to the Super Chats because I owe you guys a few of these reads. You guys are awesome and generous, and I appreciate every single one of you from showing up. Oh, I got some planes. Amazing. I must have landed the plane. And thank you guys for sticking through the notification lack thereof because, woo! All right. Here we go. Super chat from John Wynn. John Wynn says, not a huge fan of AG Bondi, but common sense tells you it's more than one person. Now, talking about the first portion of this episode where we talked about the underlying things going on with the Epstein fallout and all that piece. I don't believe it's one person. I don't believe it's every single person either. Genuinely, what you have here is a rollout that has been botched that reflects poorly on the person who said and spoke the most. Whether that person that spoke the most was going to be Dan Bongino, or it was going to be Trump, or it was going to be Kash Patel, or it could have been me. Whoever was speaking the most is going to get the most flack when you have a contradictory statement. That's what you're observing right now. And the people in the population, particularly on the right, the left already hates Trump and everything to do with Trump. They don't care. But the people on the right and in the middle have a gut feeling, and that's what the reaction is you're seeing. It's no one likes the feeling that or perceived that they are being lied to. Whether that's true or not, it's a perception. Anyway, but a great comment. Thank you, John Wynn. Excellent ad. And guys, I will just keep the chat going for a second while I finish out these super chats. Brian Peckinpah, $5 super chat. Amazing how this clown has anyone listening to him, talking about Gavin Newsom. He has failed at everything as governor, but who cares about that? That is so true. But you know the old adage, if you want to just learn how to fail up, just go be a Democrat politician, to be quite candid. Because look at Kamala Harris. She got the least amount of votes in her primary, dropped out first, was tapped as the VP, and became the VP. She hadn't done anything else except become senator when she was the attorney general. I mean, literally. Guys, if you want to fail up, you know where to go. Anyway, let's keep on going. Got another super chat I saw down here. Trino Galaxy with $5 says, the only non-political gun violence is the violence that shows their dictatorship to be an absolute failure. How else do they push the same lies? Here's the thing about the 2A space and where we are and how we have an amazing opportunity to build this bridge to fix this bad boy. I'm telling you, the strongest and most ardent veterans of fighting for our rights are in the 2A space. I'm not discounting other people, but I can tell you from being a part of you guys and being in the trenches and seeing you at events and talking to you in the comments and going through lives with you, you guys have been through more than any other group has. And you know what the tricks that they use, and you know how to refute them, and you know how to stand strong in what seems like overwhelming pressure. You guys do. And the second that we start building these bridges into the normal politics outside of the 2A political shtick is the second that we show that and bring it to bear, and they won't know what to do in the general politic. They just simply won't. Much more on that to come, but great super chat. Thank you very much. All right, got the planes. Excellent. I'm over the target. The planes are landing. Good stuff. I'm over the target. Excellent. Thank you guys for taking part in the show. All right. Gene Walker for a $4.99 super chat says they are so hateful. Now he's talking about this clip right here where it's all screaming and it's all high level emotion. And then it's also, hey, let's just kill everybody. I mean, like, candidly, whoa. Let's go back to this one though, because I want to say one more thing. It just kind of popped into my head on it. When you guys are looking at these types of things, I can tell you you're winning. And the reason that I can tell you you're winning is because when you take content out completely and you replace it with volume, you've lost. What the left is doing across the political spectrum, not just in the 2A space, but also in the general politic, in the House and the Senate and the clips and the media. Alex Padilla, the senator from California who ran in and got himself arrested and then tried to make that all about himself. It's all about volume. It's not about content. You can't win the argument with these types of things without having a cohesive conversation. You'll notice that on my videos, I don't scream on anything because I don't need to scream to deliver my point. Everything I have is sourced and rooted in what we know, in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. The reason that we are winning and they are losing their collective minds is because they don't have an argument and they don't have a way to refute what we're saying and push from their perspective without screaming and cursing and just losing their collective minds. That's how you're winning. And I'm telling you guys, when we continue this push out of the gun world into the general politic, from our experience, they won't even know what to do. But good super chat, Gene. All right, super chat from Flying Rich, $2, says, great video. I don't know if he means this one or he means the screaming one, or the one threatening murder, or the Gavin Newsom code switching. I don't know. There was many options in this live stream, but that's what I try to do, is bring you guys options. And one thing while I leave this open, guys, RV at the beach. I'm gonna look at these chats for a second. RV at the beach says, MAGA can walk and chew gum, keep going. Right, that's exactly what's happening. It's that simple. We take care of business. We aren't just gonna do what we're told. That's one of our strengths, and that's one of the hardest parts about being in this organization, in this movement. We don't just take marching orders. We don't. We're independent-minded. We're very strong-willed. Cool. We're really, really good supporters, though. But this is exactly what we're talking about right there. It's a perfect live stream. I mean, perfect, not a perfect live stream by any means. A perfect chat for the live stream. So one thing that I would like to ask you guys as you're tuning in here, if you guys can leave in the chat or the comments right over here while I have it open, I'm just leaving you guys if you wanted to say anything. If you could tell me if you like the evening live streams or you like the afternoon live streams better, and also what time do you think will be better, later in the evening or earlier in the evening, that would be incredible right over here, just so I can kind of fine tune this, because I think these have tremendous value, and I hope you guys see that as well. There's so many things that we're doing. I really just want to make sure it's fine tuned. So let me know what you guys think in the chat over here, and I will kind of do a little bit of a rehash while you guys are leaving that in the chat. I'll do a little rehash. So high level, wrapping the video up, it turns out that we're all on fire and we don't like our principles, and the left is simply in glee that we hate ourselves and we hate Trump and we hate everything about ourselves, even though they're losing their collective minds on later clips. We're completely broken, apparently, according to the left, even though we're not. We've got people on our side who are openly saying this is about accountability and something bigger, because if we don't have the accountability and the moral high ground, we lose it. That's why we're doing this. It's not just me, it's literally everyone. All right, then I've got the super clip of of this guy, Hakeem Jeffries, saying that, don't worry, I'm not too worried about 2026 because we count all the votes. So it's perfectly fine. I mean, we've got the legislatures in the blue states, we've got the governors, we've got the secretaries of state. What could go wrong? I'm fine. That wasn't bad. And then we go into Gavin Newsom, who basically channels Joe Biden. I'm not going to play those clips again because I got through them with YouTube without getting kicked off once, so that's pretty lucky. And then we've got the code switching and the taking over for Obama. We've got some gun controllers being gun controllers, which I've already hit on. And then we've got somebody openly calling for murder of the Congress, the SCOTUS, and the president. And then we have the breathless wonder with amazing volume. That's what we just did. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me jump right over here to the feedback you guys give me on that question, because I think that is really, really good. Thune and JD did what they were told, talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill. Shane says, do it in the evening. Fred says in the afternoon. Prefer later evening, roughly this time frame. Okay, so that's like 8 p.m. roughly Eastern time. Evening, thank you, Obama, for this. Talking about Gavin. We fight for freedom and justice. Yes, we do, Grace. That's right. David says, I normally watch the live chats on the replay. Thank you. Shane says 8 p.m. Okay. Early evening works for me. Evening, sad to say, anytime is good for me. Well, thank you. 7 to 9 p.m. Later in the evening, this time is perfect. Eastern time. You do a rehash, I'll do refried beans. Well played. Evening, 8 p.m. or so. Thanks for asking. 12 p.m. Central Time. 7 to 9. Late afternoon, early evening. Early live stream, listen at work. Later live stream, listen at home. Perfect. Show us your feet. That's not happening. Anything's fine with me. Just don't depend on YouTube to notify me. And by the way, guys, just so you know, just through our community, the movement, the network that we're building at the Second Press, you can actually go for free on the Second Press, and you can sign up for email notifications for free, and it sends all of it out every single time. You can choose daily or you can choose weekly updates. I mean, we have options around it as well. Oh, and no voice. I don't know what that means. How you been doing? It's just fine. do your live stream when you want or can. We can always listen later. So the reason that I'm asking these questions, guys, is because the algorithm is really important for velocity, and if I do it at the right time for my core audience, then it's going to help get the message out further. If I do it at an off time, it's going to detrimentally impact it in a negative way, and therefore it won't actually reach the audience we're trying to reach. YouTube didn't notify me either. Exactly right. Excellent. Awesome. Show us your feet. That still is not happening, Terry. All right, listen, everybody. We had an amazing event this evening. Thank you all for tuning in, showing up, making sure you express all that freedom that you have exuding from your amazing constitutional souls. Let's go with that. And I thank each of you. I'm going to turn this off. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. I love each and every one of you, just the right amount that makes you feel comfortable. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.